Hey everyone. So I talked a little bit about this in another lecture when I was talking about interrupters, but now let's focus on the use of two long dashes and the use of parentheses. I'd like you to play around with both in your papers. Of the two, I tend to see in real life writing people use parentheses a little bit more than two long dashes. And I don't see them used a lot. Like every now and then there'll be a parenthetical statement, or every now and then I'll see something with two long dashes. So don't overuse them. Maybe just at some point in your paper, use both of them. And what you need to know about both of them is you have the sentences going along, and it's all one independent clause. We're not trying to combine sentences here, really. We're trying to just briefly interrupt the one sentence. And you see here, then you have the long dash, and then you have whatever you want to interrupt it with, and then another long dash, and then you finish the sentence. And every now and then, I'll go over this in class, and then I'll have everyone write on the board an example that they create. And someone, I don't know, it's like they weren't paying attention too much. What they do is they give me the two long dashes and they try to end the sentence with the long dash. You can't do that. This sentence construction always has to happen in the middle. Not the beginning, not at the end. It always has to be in the middle, by definition. Parentheses are a little bit more flexible, but for this class, let's just say it's kind of the same thing. You start your sentence, then you break it up with something that you say in a parenthesis, and then you finish the sentence. The reason I say it's a little bit more flexible is I have seen that you actually can end a sentence with parentheses. So with this, you actually can move it around a little bit more. It's unusual, and maybe since you're just starting to use parentheses for the first time, let's just keep it towards the middle of your paper. Okay, I have some examples, and they're all about Puerto Rico. Okay, Puerto Rico, comma, a U.S. territory, comma, suffered tremendously in the last of the summer's earthquakes. Actually, it's hurricanes, but I changed it, because I guess I was thinking Mexico. So this one is the use of commas. Now compare it with what comes after. Puerto Rico, one long dash where people are considered U.S. citizens, another long dash, does not send any delegates to the Electoral College. They don't really get to elect the president officially by this sentence. And I'm going to ask you to think about the difference between why you would use commas in one case and long dashes in another. And then we have our third sentence on Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, parenthesis, still without power for much of the island, into parentheses, has been suffering economically the last 10 years or so. So, why do you think that sometimes commas, sometimes long dashes, sometimes parentheses? What do you think makes the difference? Look at all three examples. I am going to say that the rule is that you look at the relation between what's inside and what's outside. How closely connected is it, or how disconnected is it? The most closely connected, as far as the meaning, what you're talking about, gets commas. The next closely connected gets dashes, and then the furthest removed from what you say inside to what you're saying outside gets parentheses. That's what distinguishes. It's not always so easy to tell. No one's going to really blink if you do parentheses instead of long dashes. No one's gonna probably care if this is what you don't wanna do. You don't wanna give commas when you should do parentheses. That big of a gap, people probably will notice. So what do I mean? I have to say a little bit more because otherwise, like, half of you still really don't know what I'm talking about. So notice that inside the parentheses is talking about power, you know, in terms of electricity. Whereas outside, I'm talking about the overall economic health of the country over the last 10 years, which doesn't have too much to do with power. And so because the power is disconnected from the idea of economic gross national product, blah, 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 then it deserves something pretty firm to distinguish inside from outside. So I use this metaphor in class, and I don't think students find it as helpful as I do, and I'm not sure why. It's like a mystery. There are mysteries in teaching that you're never sure why it is that it's not that clear. And I think of like, so let's say you lived in a one-room situation and you wanted some privacy between your part and your roommate's part. The commas are like a batik sheet that you would hang between that would give you visual privacy, like you couldn't tell what was going on, but it's not, you could hear anything. I mean, the sound goes right through it, and that's what commas are. It's the thinnest barrier that you can create between the inside and the outside. If you want slightly more of a barrier, then you're going to choose the long dashes, and that would be if you put like a big bookcase between your part of the room and your roommate's part of the room. Like a bookcase, the sound won't travel through it quite as much. This, the parentheses, is something a little bit more structurally sound. I don't know, like if you put in an actual wall, but it didn't have all the nice soundproofing, so you could still probably hear some things, but not others. So it's the most solid barrier between what goes inside of it and what goes outside of it. So this is the most flimsy, this is the most solid, and the barrier indicates we need more of a separation because the connection is less. So I don't know. It helped me, but I'm not sure it's actually that helpful to you all. Just try playing around with it. I'll tell you, like, good use of 2 long dashes, I would have used a parentheses here. So at the very least, just try and we'll see how you do. Some people are just mysteriously good at this. They've been absorbing it from the age of 2, and whereas others it's all new to you. But try it. You get points in my book for just simply trying out the construction. Okay, good luck. I want to see them.